Another debriefing video. So I want to present to you this project that you'll be working on bit by bit throughout our course. Okay, so for this one, this is the Classroom Canon Class Library Final Project. And I'm calling it a final project because what you're doing is you're gradually building something larger in the end. And for you, this is like an annotated bibliography, but I know that because a lot of you are probably studying to be teachers, you're going into education, one thing that you'll have to think about is how you will curate your classroom library for your students. And remember that a lot of the books that are chosen are the ones that kind of stick in children's minds forever. I still remember those books. Those are the books that you grow up reading all the time when it's reading time in class and it's time to go grab a book. Those are the books that you remember, and you discover a lot of authors and illustrators that you really love as children that way. So build a canon, create a classroom library of about 20 books is what we're looking at here. So something to fill the shelf in your classroom. Authenticate your choices, and in this way, I'm having you do it in a much simpler fashion. So I want you to provide an academic defense for why the books are valid and important for your library. And here's what you should do. In this bib, you should include the following. So I've got A, B, C, and D here. For A, provide a 1 to 2 sentence background on both the author and the illustrator. Tell me a little bit about them. Now, I have a sample that I've posted for you that I'll actually review with you in this video so that you can see what this will look like when you're done, okay? Letter B, how does it relate to childhood development? What problems or issues does it address that children encounter? So how does it relate to childhood development? How does it relate to a child's life, essentially, what situation that they might be in. Letter C, and this is building off of what B is discussing. What is the message of the work and its benefit to the child? So, in other words, does it encourage them to read? Does it encourage imaginative thinking through the use of fantasy, self-esteem? Is it celebrating diversity? Is it teaching lessons? What lessons does it teach? Letter D, what age ranges or what grades are these texts appropriate for? Okay, so you're going to answer A through D for each book that you choose. At the end of this week, next Monday, your first 5 books are due. Okay, so for 5 books, you're going to choose this. And then remember, I've got a little note here, and I should put a little star by this. Make sure that your library includes picture books up to middle grade works of fiction and nonfiction from various cultures. Now, of course, you should appropriate this to what you are going to teach. For instance, I've had people who have said, I'm teaching special ed, or if you're teaching, if you want to teach and you're training to teach specific programs, then make sure that your book selections reflect that. I want this to be one of those assignments that you can create, and then you take it with you once you start teaching, once you get in the classroom, and then you have this as a resource, and you can just continue to add to this list for your own benefit, but also you'll have something where you can refer to and say, oh, hey, these are great books for kids that they should read. So if you're going to be a history teacher, you might want to pick a few more historical fiction and historical nonfiction books, anywhere from picture book all the way up through middle grade. Because that's something that you want to encourage kids to read about because you're teaching history. These could be books that you use in your curriculum, books that you use in your classes, that you work into lesson plans. So, take this seriously and really think about how this will be of the most use to you, while also satisfying the simple requirements of the assignment. So I put a little note here just to kind of remind you. So I'm calling these, like journal posts or like journal assignments, because this is something so personal for you, but you're also submitting it as an assignment to me. And I've broken it down into 3 parts just so that it's not overwhelming. Because I feel like if I assigned all 20 books on weeks where we have other things due, then it just might be too labor intensive. And I really want you to think carefully and really curate your own library and think about the books that you're choosing to buy and that you're choosing to include. So, due to the online format of our class, you'll be completing this assignment in short parts as journal posts. You will have 3 of these to complete for the rest of the course. So basically, you'll be completing these over the next 3 weeks. I didn't want to make it due at the end of the course, which is what I typically do. So you're completing this larger assignment in 3 parts. Okay, 1 will be due each week. This will get this assignment out of the way so that you'll have plenty of time to focus on writing your Harry Potter analysis research paper at the end of the course, okay? And you can see that on the schedule in the syllabus. So here are the dates, and I just gave you the breakdown on this sheet because if you wanted to print it out, if you have printing capabilities at home, then you could do that. Monday, June 1st, in observation of Memorial Day. That's why our deadline day has moved. By 11:59, so at the end of this week, the first 5 books and authentication for each one that you've selected for your classroom Canon class library final project is due on that day. Okay, so just the first 5 books. Remember, with authentication, that's just A through D. Okay, I'm not asking for any more than that about these books. So I don't want you to make your work more than it has to be. Then the following week, you're going to submit the next 5 books. And then the week after that, you're going to submit the last 10 books so that this assignment is out of the way, so that when we're doing Harry Potter, you can focus on writing your paper. Okay, so that's that. That's the deadlines and that's the assignment. So I think it would probably behoove me and you to review what the sample could look like. So this is the sample that I've posted for you in the classroom. I just did two postings. Remember, you're doing 5, but I just did 2 books. And oh, look at that. I just did my books because I know this information by heart. Okay, so when you list your book, you should list the MLA reference citation. That's what this is, the MLA reference citation. I'll put a little note about that too here on the assignment sheet so that you don't forget to do that. Okay, so I'll put a little note on there before I post this. But yeah, so this is how you want to list it. So of course you're going to list it by the author's name first. You really only have to use author's name. You can include the illustrator's name here if you wish, but it's not necessary. And then I've got the title. This is my second book. I've got the title in italics. And then I've got the publisher and the date. That's it. That's all you have to do for the MLA reference citation. It's really simple when we're doing books. And then I have a little bit here about me and about the illustrator. Okay. 1 sentence about me, 1 sentence about him. It kind of sums up who we are and what we do. And then for B, I've said, okay, this book relates to childhood development because, okay, it comments upon how a child's imagination can be cultivated through reading. So Books Do Not Have Wings is a book about celebrating reading and how the world just kind of opens up to you. All these different worlds open up to you through reading. It's a love letter to reading, essentially. And then for letter C, the book encourages reading and it urges children to read books and immerse themselves in them. The book's message beckons to those who love reading and attempts to inspire a love of reading to those who pick it up. The book also provides cultural representation as the children jump from story to story, from page to page. So it's like they're jumping in and out of books. The book is slated for readers who are pre-K through second grade. However, because this book can be used in a classroom to introduce rhyme and verse, it could be used in classrooms with older children up to the fourth grade. And then I did my second book, of course, so just name, title of the book, publisher, date. That's it. And then I just changed what I wrote about myself just to, include another detail since it's back to back, just to make it not monotonous. And then I wanted you to know here what I put about Annika Nelson. Annika Nelson, the illustrator, is most known for her public art as a muralist, and this is also her first book. She often works with collage. So this kind of introduces you to the work that she did in Colors of Me. Okay, and then again, Colors of Me addresses questions that children may have growing up in a diverse world. It also practically teaches young children colors. Okay, so it's kind of it's almost like a double entendre that you're talking about colors in two ways, basically. You're talking about colors as primary colors and teaching the concept of colors, but then you're also teaching what symbolically color means to adults from a child's perspective, essentially. And so the book assures children that their identities lie in much more than their appearance. This book uses curiosities about nature in order to ask these questions that a child might have, how children might wonder about things like color in the natural world, and through imagination, this book celebrates acceptance, self-esteem, and diversity. Again, this book is slated for readers who are pre-K through second grade, but because it's written in verse, it can be used in classrooms with older children who are learning about writing poetry, who are learning about double entendre, so on and so forth. In addition, due to the subject matter of celebrating diversity, this book could help to address cultural issues that arise in the classroom and beyond. And I've actually done school visits about maybe racial tensions in the school or some issues that have come up, and they've brought me in to present my book and talk about it. So it's a great book to start a conversation about race and diversity up to the fourth or fifth grade, which I've done with this book as well. So that's it. Those are just my little samples that I was able to easily put together because they're books that I know very well. So as you are creating this, remember you're submitting 5 of these, basically. 5 of these. And you see how long it is. You see how I've organized it. I've got A, B, C, D, right? And I would like you to format it this exact same way here. The other thing, some students have taken it upon themselves when they've done this assignment to include a cover of the book, like a picture of the cover of the book somewhere, like over here or over to the left. And that has worked really well too. And it kind of really puts, if it's a book I haven't heard about before, it kind of really helps to introduce it in a lovely way. So that's it.